Ladies and gentlemen, it's MGN Nation Podcast. Welcome to it. I forget where the camera is now. I moved the camera, so it's over here now. So if I look at this, and then I'm looking at the people, but then if I look this way, I'm looking at Aldo. So
It seems more professional, like you're on some kind of 60 Minutes interview or something.
now Aldo, now tell me, when did these allegations begin? Um,
Oh, I'll tell you. Started at a Waffle House.
That's typically when it happens, folks. Last we talked to you, I think we were wrapping up the season, and it was sort of like it was sort of like those like marathon runners. They kind of just fall like past the end. It felt like that. It was like, okay, we're playing Temple, scored points, but then like the offense didn't score any more points after that, and the defense, you know, the interim DC had to like piece together some stops against the worst offense in the league. And we got those stops, and then we're like, okay. I mean, everything just kind of fall. The Temple broadcast, they were just picking random coaches. Like, I think that's Eric Morris. Like, he's a guy. He kind of looks
That was the
coach-worthy.
funniest part.
So
It's like when you book a hotel, like you go into this place you've never been to before, and it's kind of remote, like because you want to go see the trees and the nature or whatever. It looks cool in the pictures. You book the hotel, and then when you get there, it's not what you expected. It smells like mildew. There's spots on the wall. The person checking you in looks a little creepy. Not the person you expected to see. It's kind of like that.
welcome to the. I don't know about this place, man. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, there's a little bit of that there. So the good news is, right, because I think this is important for the program. North Texas is going to the First Responder Bowl. And I wrote a little bit about it. This is the old Heart of Dallas Bowl. And if you're like, oh, first, what does all that mean? Well, it was almost like over 10 years ago now. It was like 2010, 11, whatever it was. The Cotton Bowl moved from the Cotton Bowl, right? The Cotton Bowl Stadium to Jerry Wardle. And, so then people are like, well, we need a game in the Cotton Bowl Stadium. So let's organize it. And they called it the Heart of Dallas Bowl. And that's the one we went to, right? That was 2013 season, but the 2014 year, right? January 1, 2014, we played at Cotton Bowl Stadium. And, we won, right? Beat UNLV, capped the season. Good times, had by all. I rushed the field. I got pushed by a security guard.
I thought about it, but I was like, it's way down there. I had nosebleeds.
Well, yeah, I had, like just that second row there. And I had plenty to drink. And so it gave me a little liquid courage, to go down there. I was also younger. I can jump down.
A little bit of spray.
Yeah, I don't know if I can handle, a jump from that wall anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like, there goes my knee.
That's right. When I was jumping or rushing the field for the Indiana game at Apogee, I remember climbing up on the wall to jump over and thinking,
it's a bad idea.
maybe I shouldn't. But I'm like, I'm already committed. Might as well.
Do we have an accessible rush the field entrance team?
It was a long jump. I remember just go limp and hit the turf. And that turf was actually pretty soft. So
you get it and roll, right? They say you kind of roll.
Yep.
Anyway, so I have those grass stained jeans. I didn't keep the jeans, but I cut out the grass stain. I was like, this is Cotton Bowl grass stain right here. I cut it out. I had it somewhere. Yeah. That was the Why Not North Texas. We won on a high. It was good times. We played it.
First hot sports opinion is, I feel like if you move the venue, you have to change the name, right? So if it's the Cotton Bowl, it should be at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
If you move the Rose Bowl, there would be an uproar if you kept the Rose Bowl name and moved it to somewhere else, Candlestick or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Candlestick
So
is
moving,
destroyed. That would be weird if they did that. But yes, I
that
know.
would be even weirder, right? Whatever. I was trying to find a California venue
It's
because
like
who
so.
cares?
It's I don't even know the name. The Santa Clara,
SoFi.
the one SoFi is in. Yeah, SoFi Stadium is in. What you call it? Yes, yes.
We'll go with SoFi. So it would be weird to call it the Rose Bowl and move it to SoFi. So I feel like if you move it from the Cotton Bowl, the name dies and it should be called something else, Jerry World Bowl or something.
I mean, I think it's weird that we've kept the name of a lot of these bowls, like even the college football playoff, right? They're gonna still keep, like all right, the first round game or the quarterfinal game in the Citrus Bowl. And like, I mean, okay, nobody's thinking about that. They're thinking, oh, this is a playoff game. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but this is the Rose Bowl playoff game. Like, okay, all right, sure it is. Um, yeah, so I had an inkling of that at the time. Things are changing. Times they are changing. So it was still nice because I grew up when the Cotton Bowl was still a big deal, and those New Year's Day bowl games were a big deal, and I knew it was a little bit of a backdoor, a lot bit of a backdoor to play at the Heart of Dallas Bowl against UNLV with a 9-win team, but I enjoyed it and I recognize the significance of it, and yeah, we haven't seen our team play at the Cotton Bowl since, and I don't think we ever will again. Um,
Against Army.
yeah, well, I mean, well, yeah, yeah I was gonna get to that, but yeah,
Oh,
like
sorry.
on
Sorry.
New Year's Day,
Rewind.
yeah, on New Year's Day, that was the thing, right? Like, cause like we played
Ah,
again, yeah, against Army. Um, it was the December 26th or something like that, and that was fun. That was a good time. We lost that one in overtime. Army. Turns out I'm anti United Nations, the U.S. forces. Big Navy fan I am. Turns out. We'll get to Army in a little bit, but like so that was the deal, right? So we get to play again after the new year, right? We are 1-0 in bowl games, lifetime in January. So I mean, if you're a betting person, maybe you look at that advanced number there. What did
yeah.
the advanced stats say? Hey, we're 1-0 in January, lifetime.
Undefeated in 125-year
Mm-hmm.
history.
Yeah, undefeated, untied in January is the North Texas football program, and yeah, so that's the good news, right? We won January 1, 2014. On January 3, 2025, we're gonna take on the Texas State Bobcats. Do you have any hate in your heart, sports hate for the Texas State Bobcats? Maybe you're just not a big
Um,
fan of Lyndon B. Johnson. You're like, what? Whatever school educated that guy,
that
I just
that
can't abide
LBJ
them.
hate his policies. Um, I grew up in Austin, and
Yeah,
so it was just a fun place to go to during the
yeah.
summer. You know, go swim in the river.
San Marcos.
Uh,
Well, that's San Marcos.
yeah,
That's not Texas State, or known at the time Southwest Texas State.
yeah, SWT. Well, it was one in the when they were together, right? When you think of San Marcos, or at least when living down there, it was when you think of San Marcos, you thought of Southwest Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and it was one and the same, right? It's not quite the same with Denton, right? You don't think Denton and University of North Texas not that same, but like San Marcos has got that
Well,
traditional college
I'll
town.
push back on that because I think some people have that. I don't know. I feel like Denton and San Marcos and a little bit Huntsville, but Huntsville, you're like the first thing I think about Huntsville is like, isn't there a prison here? They're like, yeah,
Prisons, yeah,
but there's also a university too, and you're just like,
and this big old statue.
yeah. So the thing, if you're listening to this, and for some reason I don't know why you would be, but I mean I voted in the little college football Substack thing, and I got a couple other followers. Maybe you're like, let me see what this guy has to talk about. Well, if you're unfamiliar with Texas, every town, every college town is almost the same, right? There's a lot of towns that don't have a college, but they're kind of the same. They're like, yeah, we have an historic square. Does your town have that? And like, yeah, we got that. Well, is there like just kind of a music scene? Yeah, the same thing. Is there like
Festival.
quirky shops down there, and there's like a courthouse? Yeah, we have that too. Every town has it. It's the same thing. It's what everybody has. So everybody waxes nostalgic about San Marcos. It's like you don't know, we just got there and just crazy times drinking cheap beer, trucks. Like yeah, that's a lot of high schools, buddy. What are you talking about? It's like it's what it is. San Marcos is Huntsville. It's Denton a little bit. It's Austin before we got all the tech influx. I say that Denton is what people think. Denton
Hold
thinks,
on.
and well, whatever. You're from Austin. You know they're like the real side of it. Nobody cares about that. But it's like most people experience San Antonio. They're like, oh yeah, Riverwalk, Alamo. I was like, yeah, I don't go there. Yeah, I'm from San Antonio. I was not going down there. If we went through, like, ugh, the tourists. Look at them. And we saw Aldo walking by. Look at him, Austinites. He's probably getting in the way.
Bringing their tech grossness. But I love doing touristy stuff. When I'm going to visit somewhere, I'm like, what is the number one tourist destination? I want to go do that.
There's nothing wrong. No, we like that. We like your dollars coming in, but I don't want to interact with you. You know what I mean?
I'm going to go tourist even harder.
Like, look, I'm gonna sell him this. I'm gonna tell him it's a traditional San Antonio thing. It's gonna cost $40. He's gonna buy it. Watch. Like, look at it. In San Antonio, we everybody buys this. Look, he's gonna buy it. He's gonna do it.
I've got a soft spot in my heart for San Marcos. It was the first
I get it.
place I bought my first record. I bought my first CD there.
You held your best girl's hand the first time. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what's going on?
It's possible. It's possible. But
floating down the river, hands are just kind of touch each other.
A gondola.
I like it.
But for the next month, I will hate them.
I mean,
as much as possible.
Look, I like an outlet mall. I'm not gonna hate on an outlet mall. You know what I mean? And
it's a very unique outlet mall.
Yeah, you go through, you get your Nike outlet. You walk in, and you're like, is this like a school? Is this guy teaching people stuff? That's Texas State right there. You're at the Nike outlet. Right next door is a guy handing out degrees. It's kind of a degree mill. They're like, hey, we need more outlet mall. People working in these places. That's what South Texas State's for.
I will say, just to start the hate, right?
Yeah.
We used to go watch different events when I was a kid, and at Bobcat Stadium, and I thought, man, the high schools and Austin just have a better football field than their college does. So we'll start there.
Well, they did nice it up, right? They got it nice. They found some money. They niced up Bobcat Stadium, and yeah. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, I mean,
because who cares about Texas State?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's one of our most played games. So I agree. Some people said that we should have taken Texas State, right? We were North Texas State. They were Southwest Texas State, and we decided we want to be North Texas. And which wouldn't make sense. I understand the thing. And they said, all right, well, we'll just take Texas State. And I think for us, it kind of hurt that because there's that Texas State, the Armadillos, right? The fake team, right? That was played in it. So that you kind of have a little branding conflict. But whatever. I don't really care. I think it's fine. And, I think they're UTSA's rival. And it's funny, yeah. I think there should be a trophy. We should commission a trophy and then hand it to the winner. So they beat UTSA, and we stumbled, we tripped, stubbed our toe in San Antonio. That's fine, right? We won't talk about that too much. And so if we beat them, then, it's everybody beat each other. Maybe you have to go aggregate score or something. I don't know what. But there you go. We should do a trophy.
What's the trophy going to be? Is it an armadillo?
I mean, yeah, I would like that. That'd be good. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go find that. I'm going to hand it to the team. Like, what is this? You don't listen to the show?
Trophies.
You don't listen to the show? Huh? What's going on?
You heard of this, right?
Yeah. Like, look, I don't have a $500,000 to give you for the what you call. I got this trophy. I got the trophy warehouse over here, And I got it engraved right there. See, it says UNT. I mean, I did my own engraving. I scratched it as with the key on my way over, but it says Go Mean Green.
That's a funny thought. The collective calls you, hey, you wanna donate some money? No, but I will raise you an armadillo trophy.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, so first responder bowl, Texas State. We gotta drum up some hate for the Texas State Bobcats, and what else? Are you excited? Because I think we're like 8-point underdogs, which smells right, given that like their quarterback is returning. All right, Jordan McLeod, guy did well at what was it, James Madison, and transferred to Texas State. They have G.J. Kinney. That's a hard name to say, man. G.J.
GG.
He's like you're stuttering a little bit. Like no, it's
Good job.
G.J. Kinney. That's
Good job.
kind of it's difficult for me to say.
So
Go ahead, please
yeah,
continue.
the quarterback situation is obviously a problem for us. I think we started out at a lower spread, and then it got worse for us once Chandler Morris announced
Do
his.
you know the spread right now? When I saw it, I think when it was announced, it was like 8.5.
Yeah, I think it went up to 11 maybe, but
Oof.
when I saw it to 8.5, I was like, all right, okay, well, screw this. I'm not paying attention to that. to that. Who cares about spreads? What does it mean anyway?
You know,
Um,
gambling is ruining America. If we're talking,
it's ruining the sport. Yeah. So the quarterback is fun. I enjoyed watching him play. Was it against Arizona State earlier
mm,
in the year or Arizona?
yeah.
Solid guy. James Madison was a fun team to watch in the last few years. Um, because you think about the Fun Belt, and it's really into that. Now that we're not in there, outside looking in, it's like, oh yeah, it's fun to watch these teams. But as
Hmm.
you're suffering through it, it's like, no, I hate it here. Um, but I and GJ Kinney, it's a hot commodity. He's a hot commodity. He's only going to last so long there before he gets hired somewhere else. He's got a pretty solid coaching staff, with lots of experience. Chandler Morris is in there. Chandler Morris, Chad Morris is in there.
Hmm.
Um, and that was going to be a fun storyline. I feel bad for Brett Vito when he wrote his storyline piece, like a family affair.
Hmm.
And
Turns
then the
out,
following day,
by the way, it's up to 10. It says at least on VegasInsider.com. It was
okay.
7.5, and then it said now it's 10. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel bad about
I
Vito's
mean, it
piece,
shouldn't
but
be that bad. I
well,
think it'll be.
I said this right. We'll talk a little transfer portal right now, and then we'll get into the new defensive coordinator because I think more people are excited about that than they are necessarily the bowl game. Bowl games are weird anymore now that the CFP is a deal now because like the bowl games used to be the end, and like the various matchups had implications for the poll, right? Like, oh, if you win, the number 3 team's playing the number 11 team, and the number 2 team playing the number 8 team over here in the whatever bowl, and then you kind of took those results and you said, okay, well, let's re-rank, and whoever is number 1 wins the championship, right? Whatever. That was kind of it. Was it ideal? No, but it made the bowls more special. Is that a good result? Not necessarily. The bowls were just exhibition games. They got elevated to a place of status later on. Um, but all that said, we lose, quote unquote, Chandler Morris, right? Just because you're in the transfer portal does not mean that you can't play, right? And the was it Ty Thompson, the dude from Tulane, is in that same. He's in the portal. Um, and he sort of got bumped up back because I think he was in the QB competition for them before the season to you know back into the number 1 role after Darian Menza left, right? The dude from again Tulane, he went to Duke. I think he had a deal lined up because he was like, "Hey, I'm in the portal. Hey, I signed for Duke." Right? He's like, "Wow, that was real quick, man. You just
Mhm.
that brochure must have been very convincing." He's like, "Wow, look at that D. What a great
Say no more.
stylized D." Uh,
The blue ass D.
that's my favorite shade of blue. Turns out. So he said he's gonna play, right? So I don't know what Chandler Morris has said about any of this. I don't, our head coach was in New York following Cam Ward and his Heisman journey. So I mean, again, look, I don't know who our quarterback's gonna be, and I don't know that Drew Mestamaker is the guy. I think he has some talent, and he has some ability, but I don't mind seeing what he has. Like, what better time than in a bowl game against a beatable team, right? Texas State's good, but it's not like, well, man, 5 stars all the way down the roster, right? It's like, okay, if you can't throw the ball against a Texas State squad, that tells us a lot, right? Like you've had the full season prep, you've had the whole thing. I'm fine seeing Drew Mestamaker get out there and throw the ball. You got a whole
Yeah,
month to prepare.
yeah. when a game doesn't mean much, right? Obviously, I want to win the bowl game. It's good for not just the school, but for the conference as a whole. The more bowls we win, the more money we can bring in. I think Maker's fine. I don't think that I don't see any glaring issues. If he ends up being a backup in the future, he would be a solid backup as a starter. I mean, in the few spots that I saw him play, he looked pretty solid, and he has got wheels on him for his size. He's pretty fast. Um, I would like to see what Cash McCollum has. I don't know if he's entering the portal or if there's talk there. Sometimes I conflate what have I seen in real life and what have I seen in my save in EA College Football.
Yeah, in my
Um,
save, Cash McCollum's he's thrown for like 10,000 yards or whatever it is.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it didn't have Maker any good, so then it was Cash McCollum as the number two, and I had trouble getting a QB in. I was like, yeah, we'll see what this guy does. And then after he's thrown it like 5,000 yards first year, I was like, well, I don't need anybody from the portal, man. Yeah. Um,
But yeah, it's a losing your QB. It's one of the most, if not the most important position on the team, and the drop off from Morris to Maker is huge, right? You're going from a guy who's
experienced.
experienced. He played on a team that went to the national championship, faced a lot of different teams, played a lot of minutes, to a guy that is not that, a freshman, um, who's mostly ran the ball. Um, it is a huge drop off, and that's why you saw the spread increase like it did. So
Well,
it's
so I'm not worried about it. I'm not even worried about the QB position because Eric Morris has done a great job of. I mean, that's part of the reason he was hired, right? Like a big chunk, like I said, like 35%, was that he had success with Cam Ward. He's had success. I mean, even going back, he was kind of saying, "Hey, I coached up Pat Mahomes a little bit, I gave him some pointers here and there." Everybody, there's like five guys that are like, "I was part of Pat Mahomes," whatever. Yes, do that. It's the same way. It's end of the year. Like self input, and you got to do like, what did you work on this year? It's like, man, I sure delivered that project. And then everybody else is doing the same thing. Like, I was part of the delivery of the project that increased revenue. Yeah, everybody's. Yeah, okay. Um, but it's true, right? And so you got Chandler Rogers in here now. I don't have any hate for Chandler Rogers, but he played at ULM. He had okay stats. He came in here. He was in the talk for almost offensive player of the year. Like, wow, look at what he's done. He left, parlayed that into a scholarship at Cal, maybe even an NIL check or two. To kind of be a backup the whole time, right? We got Chandler Morrison here. He set records, or is nearing a record at North Texas for passing. Led the league in touchdowns and all this other stuff. I don't.
nearly the nation.
Yeah, and I don't. He was in that conversation the whole time. I don't think that Eric Morris will have a tough time finding a guy, and we've already offered MacGyver, the guy from Abilene Christian, right? That was out there throwing for 500 yards against Texas Tech. We've offered a couple other guys who are interesting. We also have a guy coming in that's killing it in high school football right now. Now, that one, I don't know how quickly that'll translate. Like, all right, that was great. Now, we're going to need you to do that against Memphis next week, right? That's not going to translate. But, I think he has an eye for quarterbacks. And if he says, hey, Mr. Maker has some things, I'm willing to see what happens. I mean, he had enough things to be the backup, right? So I'm not worried about the QB position, and I think more likely we're going to get somebody in the portal. But
Yeah, yeah, and the difference between the bowl game and the rest of the season, right? The bowl game is just, yeah. Well, let's see what he's got. I think it's a good spot to see, because I think you saw the same thing with Casey Martin when he had a chance to start at the bowl game against Utah State,
Utah
whoever the one.
State, I think. Well, he didn't start. Like Mason Fine started, but he got
Oh,
hurt.
the second half. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And it turned out to be not great, and so that really put an emphasis on, all right, we need to look elsewhere.
yeah.
So it could be an opportunity for that. Chris Jimerson Jr. is awesome, but he's also 5'10", like 160 something, 180 something.
What if he stands up on his tiptoes? Does that count? Does that help?
So he's like Mason Fine size a little bit,
Yeah. He's
but a little
dynamic
slender.
though. He's good. He's
Yeah,
good. He's talent.
but you're afraid of him getting hurt at that size. I think he got they won the championship game or won the playoff game last night.
Yeah, to get to the state title game. Yeah, the six.
And he got dinged up as well.
Yeah, I mean,
So
yes, I think you need to get him into the college program, get him, beefed up a little bit, get into the that whole thing, and then see college, D1 defenses. I think all that stuff is in his future, and I think he's going to be a good player. And hopefully, he's a good player for North Texas, and not just yeah, it was great, and now I'm gone. Like, thanks for the
yeah,
memories, thanks for all the fish.
so it would be nice to be able to like hold on to him, develop him, while we bring in somebody to close that gap, fill the gap, right?
Yeah.
Transfer QB to come in for a year or two while he gets to learn, get bigger, and all that stuff. It's always great to have having that rotation. Same with the offensive line position, right? It's a lot to learn there, a lot of technique, a lot of growth. You want them to develop wide receiver. Running backs are guys you can just plug and play. Just find the hole.
Are you suggesting that we can get, like, let's say, a converted wide receiver and have him lead a team in rushing? Because that would be
yeah,
outrageous.
and lead the nation in like yards after contact and things like that. Not
Yeah,
lead the nation, but be way
yeah,
up there.
yeah. He was in there. There were some numbers. It had a chart, and he was up there in the top right. It was the good
Yeah,
spot to be. So another, speaking of offensive line, right? Tyler Mercer is transferring, and
yeah.
that I think is a big loss because he was a
It's a huge
freshman
loss.
freshman center. It looked like he was going to be the centerpiece of the offensive line for years to come, and well, he's not. Right? He's gonna move on, and I think that hurts a lot. We had offensive line troubles all season. A lot of mixing and matching, never quite gelled, and some of that contributed to Chandler Morris's being dinged up and some of the running game problems, and all that stuff. And I was hoping, I wrote like a kind of a report card on the team. It's like I was hoping that we could build from there. Like, hey, Tyler Mercer, he's freshman starter. Then I'm excited to see what happens in year two. But there will be no year two at North Texas for Tyler Mercer, at least as it currently stands. He's in the portal.
Yeah, it was a shock, right? Where you typically hear about the skill position players because there's so many of them, right? On the team, you might have 10 or more, and you could stand to lose a few of those guys and also bring some in because there's so many in the portal. Um, Running backs, wide receivers, QBs, things like that. An offensive lineman, that's a different story, and losing him makes me think somebody's been talking to him, right? Kind of like with the Duke situation,
Mm-hmm.
and you see it, right? It's not like it didn't happen before. It happened before, but now it's a little bit more legal, I guess.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it's all fine. I mean, college football is transient anyway, and this is the name of the game. And I mean, it sucks for the players, but I'm not. I don't want to be. Like, whoa. Won't they think of their future? Like, I get it. I get what they're doing, and like big time college football is a different level of things. Everybody talks about family and all this other stuff, but it's like, yeah, we liked you because we thought you were going to be good. Turns out you're not as good as we want you to be. What you wanted you to be, and I really like this other kid who's better than you. So like
mm,
there's a little bit of that, and so you're just like there's a little bit of well, there's an incentive for you to get the most that you can get while you can get it. All that said, I think there are some programs that do develop like the relationships, and they build those relationships, and you can kind of build a second family there. And I think North Texas is trying to be one of those, and they have been sort of one of those. And I mean, but I don't know the circumstances around Tyler Mercer's specific one. But I'll say this: look, Chandler Moore's been in Oklahoma, TCU, and now here, right? He didn't have a whole lot of ties here, right? And so you're like, wait, the guy who's transferred here, transferred again. It's kind of like I was like, hey, you cheated on, and now they're cheating. It's kind of, yeah, that's what happens. DT Sheffield, same thing. He transferred from Washington State to here. That's great. And now, like he worked out for him. He's like, well, see it. Let's go to the next one, right? It's not
Yeah,
surprising.
but he had more connections here than anywhere else, right? He had, I think Jordan Davis was from Washington State, a receivers coach there.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously Eric Morris, and even then, we were unable to hold on to him. Money
But
talks.
some of that was though because like he was sort of damaged goods, right? And I think he rehabbed himself. He had an outstanding season in a lot of ways. I mean, everybody talked him up, and so then again, I don't know what happened. People were like, "Hey, we'd love for you to come out here, and we have this maybe amount of money that could be yours, right? Maybe your names could be on it on this bag of cash."
Yeah, I mean, if I had the opportunity to get 100 grand for a year for a couple years in college, yeah,
Yeah,
I would have taken that. I remember getting paid $5.50 an hour, working part time, back in college, and that sucked. I would have taken 100 grand easy.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, I left one place for another for like 30 extra grand. They're like, hey, and then the previous place was like, well, what can we do to get you to stay? I was like, can you match this number? And they're like, no. I was like, well, there it goes,
but
Hugs, good times. They don't pay the mortgage.
I
Uh,
mean, and obviously there's a difference between like a scholarship
yes,
program versus real life work, but it puts, there's a give and take. Obviously, we haven't found the balance in
yeah,
this setup, but it gives players a little bit more power when those schools, especially the big schools, had a lot of power. It hurts.
yeah. I
Uh,
wrote I wrote a little bit about this. Is like I don't mind them professionalizing. The reason you professionalize all that it's so that you can standardize the interactions thereof, right? Like so hey, this is a good contract. So the players are not getting screwed over like those Tulsa kids that are like, man, we never saw any of that NIL money that we were promised, and then the coach is like, I didn't promise you anything, and so you have a whole lot of whatever. Like, but if you get it signed, I will play. I will show up to meetings, whatever, and if you're like, well, what about the education? You're like, okay, all right. Put that as part of the compensation package. Like, you know what? You're going to get tuition free classes. You can take them online. We don't have to pretend. Because, like you've seen, I've heard like 20 years of college players talk. And there's not a whole lot of them that sound like they are, scholars.
it's not an emphasis, right? A lot of pro clutching there, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's trying to hang on to some counter argument, and it's never
Yeah.
been about education,
No,
right?
dude.
It's
No,
about
it's not.
benefiting the football program, not the
Yeah.
students.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like in the same way that you could
Well,
you might have to
and,
go to be a mechanic. Like there's nothing wrong with being a mechanic. You know what I mean? Like there's some mechanics that have bigger vocabularies than I do, and there's some that it's amazing they can even speak any language. You know what I mean? And that's
well,
fine. They're earning a living. There's nothing wrong with majoring in football. I don't think. Good.
my point is that previously it was about benefiting the football program, not benefiting
I
the
get you.
students, and then you leaned into like, well, they get a full scholarship, right? They,
Yeah.
they they
Yeah.
get a full education, but it's like it's not really about that. The
Yeah.
programs don't care about that. You think Urban Meyer was worried about Aaron Hernandez's education
Yeah.
or
No.
whatever?
Well, I mean, they said that before. They're like, yeah, I'd like to take, microbiology, and they're like, those classes meet on Tuesdays when we have film room study. Maybe you could be a sociology major. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
that. So that's what I'm saying. Is like, as part of the compensation package, say, look, you're gonna get 4 years worth of tuition free. Maybe you take that now while you're a player. Maybe you take that later when your knee's all banged up and you're retired. And then you're like, you know what? It's time to study. Let's see about these books everybody's been talking about. I don't
Yeah,
think that's crazy.
and it's not like that for everybody. Or it's not a
Yeah.
blanket thing, right? You're seeing some North Texas guys graduating with a master's degree, and it's awesome. Yeah,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
use that to your advantage. That's the goal here.
Yeah,
But
but that's
but
exactly it. Is that like let people do the thing? It's like, well, I will pay you in credits. Like, how about you pay me in cash, and then I can use that cash to do what I will. Right? Let me have the full agency. Don't babysit me. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's the part I don't like. Um, what else was I gonna say? All right, so there's some portal talk. DT Sheffield's leaving. That's the other guy we mentioned him. I feel like of all the guys leaving, Chandler Moore's DT Sheffield. Tyler Mercer are the three ones where I'm like important dudes. Yes, you can
Yeah.
replace all three, but I think those are difficult. Like, 'cause you like what they brought, they, yeah.
I think Jaden Smith was another one, right?
I don't remember. I think he was just graduating, right? And he's a year four now, right?
Oh,
I can't remember.
I thought I heard there was some freshman that was leaving, and I was like, oh, well, that one sucks. But yeah, Tyler Mercer, I think, is the worst of all of this because he's a freshman center who
Yeah,
was doing awesome, and I think that's the most impactful loss because it's hard to replace a lineman. Um, they usually take several years to develop,
yeah.
and
We tried to replace a bunch of centers. It was amazing. Tyler Mercer just kind of stepped up and filled that. Like he was like, oh, kind of shaky, and then he was very solid, like mid year on. All right, so I just want to get. I know I'm kind of interrupting you. I'm wrapping you up,
oh yeah,
playing the orchestral music. Play them
yeah.
off. I want to talk about Skylar Cassidy, the new DC. Couple things about
Skyler.
it. Yeah, a couple things about it. Yes, I was like, man, that reminds me of some of those George Lopez ones when you kind of make fun of a guy's name. He's like, oh, Skyler, and I remember
Yeah.
like, yeah, who's naming their kid Sky? Those kids have grown up and now they're our defensive coordinators. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
there you go, Skylar Cassidy, Sam Houston State, DC. I think here's the thing. Again, I don't think it's that big of a deal to go from a 3-3-5 to a 4-2-5. There are some significant changes that allow you some things, but I mean, I don't know. You get good coaches that say, what was it, like Urban Meyer was saying, I love the 3-4 defense because you get that nose right on the center. I know when I was an offensive coordinator, that would cause me fits. I hated that, and every year I would go in and say, let's get this 3-3-5, yeah, or let's do a 3-4 defense. I just want three down linemen. And the only thing preventing me was like he said his defensive coordinators would say, "Come here, buddy," and they look at this recruiting board and they would have like Bosa or whoever else, and they're like, these guys want to be edge rushers and they want to come here and they want to rush the passer, so we need to have four down linemen. And he's like, okay, fine, but that was the joke, but he made, but it's true. There's not a whole lot of difference between that. I think you can have success with the three high defense. Um, and I think that North Texas had some moments where they had good, things there. Whatever defense you've had, because we've had four down lineman defenses that have been bad, right? We've had three down lineman defenses that have been bad. It's not that. It's the quality of player that you have there. They need to get penetration. They need to be disruptive. Whether it's 3, 4, whether you're bringing pressure, whether you're not bringing pressure, you need to have quality players. And I don't know that we've had too deep. Like maybe we're like, oh, Rod Brown's been good, yeah, but then he'll get tired, right? Who else has been making noise? Have you know? Do you like? Does anybody casual viewer like, oh yeah, our backup defensive tackle sure giving Rod Brown run for his money? A lot of people are like, oh, is that what Charles? Maybe that guy, was he doing okay? Nobody knows because he's not making any noise. He's not standing out. You're not like, oh, that guy. I love that dude. No, it's not happening. Right? That's it. Occasionally, you're like, oh yeah, Jordan Shipley, he got a sack that one time. That was good. And then Terrell Dawkins did some good things. Yeah, and that's kind of it. Right? You don't see constant disruption there. And we've had some dudes. We've had four down linemen in some passing situations, passing scenarios, and we've gotten close a couple times. But outside of a handful of things, it hasn't been consistent. So, all that said, I think the thing that Cassidy's bringing or that he's doing that's going to be most impactful is that he put like 17 or 13 puzzle pieces up on the Twitter the other day. He's like, what is it? That's it. That's it. He's bringing some dudes from Sam Houston State that he trusts that he thinks are going to be good. That is the thing I think that's going to make us better, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and those are all good points, right? And I think that's the bow to tie on all this is bringing in those players that would immediately upgrade the defense. We've talked about how as much as we love our team, right? It's one of the worst defenses in the nation. Um, I think our defensive backs are pretty talented.
Let me see.
And
13 of them. This is just, you can sort of see. He has 13 puzzle pieces up on the thing there. I think that's really it. Oh, he also calls it, what, D block? That's his hashtag.
Oh, D
Going green.
Block.
Hashtag D block. Sorry, please
Yeah,
continue.
I'm reading this bio real quick, and he said when he was at Abilene Christian, um, 2 seasons coaching outside linebackers, nickels, and safeties under Coach Bobby Petrino at Missouri State. So he's got a lot of experience seeing real programs and how they work, the recruiting process and the coaching process. I think the shift from 3-3-5 to 4-2-5. I mean, it's not a small change. There's some scheme changes there, but we get to keep currently our most talented piece on the field, which is our defensive backs. They're the fastest, the highest ranked, rated in the last several years, except the one guy that we're losing. I'm blanking on his name, but he was like the number one recruit we've had in years. Um,
Well, yeah, we're losing Javen Anderson, number
eh,
14. Yeah, he's
that's the
transferring.
name.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but I think that Javen Anderson had a solid season last year. He had an okay beginning of the year, but I think he was targeted. Like Texas Tech was picking on him a lot. They were like, "Where is he? Let's run a dude at him. Let's run at him and see if he can defend the run, and then also let's throw at him and see if he can move his feet." And I don't know that he did the greatest job there, and we didn't see a whole lot of him after that. And I
Yeah,
know
but
Capone wanted him to play star, and then once we kind of got away from that, playing that 3-4 defense, he sort of disappeared. But yeah, he didn't really do too much, and I don't know if that's the reason he's transferring or something. But
yeah, maybe the scheme's just not for him. But he's young, right? He was freshman or redshirt freshman or something like that.
yeah, I think he's a redshirt freshman, but second year
So
player. Yeah.
so yeah, you got guys like him and Taylor Starling and other guys coming up the ranks because Capone came in and brought in a lot of good defensive backs over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that Cassidy isn't going to do that, but I'm hoping he brings in the front seven or the front six and bring some meat there and some talent there and kind of balance out this defense a little bit more, and bring some of that the the nationally ranked whatever defense for Sam Houston.
Yeah, this is very much, going back to professional stuff, right? It's very much like, hey, we hired a new defensive coordinator for our favorite NFL team, and he signs a lot of free agencies to play for him, right? Like that's fine, Like you want guys that know the scheme, that know the culture, and that can set the tone, and then also you want to give them competition, right? Like, yeah, you
Right.
were
Exactly.
you were the number one DB at Sam Houston State, but we got some guys too, right? And like, yeah, you have the advantage because you know the scheme, but now this guy knows the scheme too. And then you make them both better. Hey, here's the number one corner over there, and here's the number one corner guy that was going to be number one corner here. Let's sharpen the steel, right? Everybody's going to get a little
Yeah.
bit better. That's what you want. You want internal competition. You
You want to
want,
build the bench.
yeah. Like that's the thing is I have no problem bringing in. Number one, we need more defensive linemen. Like one for the scheme change. But Morris talked about this too. There's probably going to be guys that shift over and play different roles. We're losing Shipley. I think we're losing Terrell Dawkins. We're losing Rod Brown. Those are three guys that started along the defensive line at one point. Even when we went to the 3-4, you can say, well, those are three linemen and a rush end, right? The jack one or the bandit or whatever you want to call it. But basically, the linebacker that's going to bring pressure. So he's gone. So you needed to replace him anyway. And now you're saying, all right, some Sam Houston State dudes coming in, and then other guys too. Like there's a few defensive tackles. I can't remember all their names, but defensive tackles, some linebackers. Was it Samaje Burrell? We recruited him in 2021. He went to Texas, transferred to Sam Houston State. So it's sort of a hey, second time, third time around, maybe now you come over.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's us using the transfer portal to our advantage, right? Now, you're not going to hear anybody complaining about us using it to shore up, using it like a free agent pool and
Yeah,
shoring up our defense.
yeah.
I'm certainly not going to complain about that.
Nobody's sad about Sam Houston State losing their guys. I didn't see GoMinGreen.com be like, "Oh man, it sucks for Sam Houston State." They're all like, "Oh yeah, we should get their guy." Nobody's,
I wonder if I should put that post up on.
this it sucks. Yeah, I mean, so like, whatever. Like I think that everybody has to go out there and compete. And yes, it does suck. And I think they should, like, as a nation, as a like to preserve the quality of college football, I think we got to figure out a way to make it fairer for everybody. And I said that I don't think there's anything crazy about professionalizing it. Like it doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt my heart. I think it will be different, but it's already different. And this is not the same. It's not. Uh, you maybe have rose-colored glasses about 1975 or something for some people, but one, it wasn't as rosy as you think it was at the time, and then two, it's not going to be. It's not that way now, and we can't go back. It's not going to happen. There's legal rulings that have changed the way that
Yeah,
these things work. So it just
I mean,
might as well make it better by And yes, you're gonna have to change it a little bit more.
yeah, I mean, we've all had stories like friends that would play at these big colleges. I had a friend who was a wrestler, going to this college that he had no business going to, um, and they would get pizzas delivered at night by the school. Like here's some pizza for the night. Here you go. You open it up, and underneath the pizza, there's a wad of cash for everybody.
How'd that
You hear
get there? Ah,
that?
must have misplaced my
Whoops.
$100,000, and it keeps happening.
Right, and there's stories like that all over the place. And
Yeah,
now instead of doing that under reps, you can incentivize it. You can put it on a contract. You can standardize it, like you said. And obviously, right now we have not figured out what that standard should look like. And I hope we don't like the pendulum doesn't swing to the
yeah.
extreme. Like we're letting it play out. It's a free market. See what needs to be regulated, and then start identifying those. I think there needs to be more like money classes for the students, for the players. I think the agents are predatory. Right? Maybe have like these agents have a code of conduct or something like they have to sign up with the NCAA and follow strict guidelines and rules
Hmm.
and things like that. Maybe standardize how much they can take off the top.
Yeah, because you
Um,
have rumors of some guys taking 20% or something like that, and they're like, yeah, in the NFL it's like 3% or something like that. It's like the max.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, again, and like I think for like, the model, because everybody thinks of like the NFL, but like that's a single entity league, right? And so it's different than college football. I think the closer analogy to college football is soccer worldwide, right? Similar things, similar passions, similar like origins. Like they started around the same time, kind of thing. Everybody's independent, and you have all these different levels. I think there's a lot of parallels there, and I think one thing that soccer does right, and no, look, I'm not saying that soccer does a lot of things right, because there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of terrible stuff there. But one thing that they do right is that they mandate like solidarity payments, right? Let's say, like I said, I kind of made this like, let's say we found young Aldo Avina, right, playing soccer in the streets of Austin, Texas, right, and we're like, wow, this guy would be great. So we sign him up for Austin FC, and like so then, but then bigger club, right? Arsenal's like, wow, that Aldo Avina, he sure is, kicking the ball super hard, and we want him on our team. We'll pay Austin FC 5 million, right? So boom, right? Austin FC gets
As
that.
like a loaner or
No, you
as
buy basically it's a transfer fee, but it's like a way to transfer. Like basically, it's a buyout clause, right?
mm-hmm.
So the fee goes to Austin FC, right? And maybe you negotiate it a little bit in your contract. Like, if I get transferred, I want a little cut of that. But the other part of it that is cool is that like it's not like the NFL, the NBA, or something. Like, you get traded. They're like, hey kid, pack up your stuff because you're moving to Miami. Sorry, that's what it is. It's funny because like in the MLS, you can be traded, and some of those guys that are familiar with the different systems, they're like, "What does this mean? I'm moving." Like I had no say in it. They're like, "What do you? This is silly." It's very American to be traded.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so then you kind of work out a deal. And a lot of what happens, there's a little tampering where they'll be like, "Hey, what do you think about coming over here?" And so you work out all the terms. Your agent's kind of blah blah blah. It's a bunch of transfer rumors. Whatever. It's not perfect. But so then you're playing at Arsenal, and now you become even bigger star. And Real Madrid says we need this guy on our squad, right? Because he's gonna get us Champions League glory. We're gonna pay, 200 million euro for this dude to Arsenal. So what happens is that Arsenal gets their 200 million, and they get like 2% of that 200 million, and they kick it to Austin because that's part of the solidarity payments of developing you. Because Austin yeah, they got the $5 million transfer fee, but they also put time and effort to identify you, this, blah, blah, blah. And so it keeps going, and they get a little solidarity payment. Why? Because it's the health of the whole system, right? You want to encourage Austin FC to still be looking for more Aldo Avinas and keep it going and still be a going concern. So everybody sort of wins on that little chain there. I think that
Yeah,
would be
that's a good
ideal.
idea.
Yeah, so like Tarleton State, right? The development. Why do they even have football if their guys are going to get poached, their coaches,
Hopefully
whatever.
every year. Yeah.
Yeah. So then like if it worked out this way, great. We helped out Chandler Morris. Maybe there was a little transfer fee, 100 grand from UT, pass along, whatever. I'm making up names and numbers, whatever. Like the whole thing. Maybe we paid a cut down fee for like a DT Sheffield contract when he left Washington State. They're like, we kind of need him off our books. It's just you take whatever. Maybe
There should also be relegation too. Let Florida State come down to the G5 level and
yeah. I think there are a lot of options once you professionalize the thing, right? Like you have situations like that in soccer. Like I said, like Juventus had to drop down to the second division because they had cooked their books a little bit. But a lot of their great players stayed there, and then they won the league, and then they got back to the first division. Stuff like that. Or you even have great like Leeds United, and we can knows about them, but they overspent, they borrowed too much money, and then they dropped all the way to the fourth division. So you had this big giant team with this big giant stadium playing, teams that were like, well, we can afford a janitor this year, guys, like that. So it's crazy, and when you get things like that, it's amazing. Now, they're still the blue buds, right? I just mentioned Arsenal. Everybody knows Arsenal. Everybody knows Milan and Juventus and these same teams, and they kind of want to super league it, and they want to kind of make it more like the United States, So you can say that everybody has something to learn. I think college football can improve. I think there will still be an Alabama. There still be like a USC, a Texas, and that kind of stuff. Just there's money in it, but I think you can kind of make it better for the overall health of the system. Because right now, I think the system's unhealthy. Like we were saying. Coaches are saying all the time, what's the incentive to keep doing what we're doing if, like our players are going to get poached? Like, why am I going to pour myself into these guys when
flying everywhere, 80 hours a week, talking to them?
Yeah. So then then the whole system's going to be degraded. Everybody loses. The NFL's going to lose, right? I think one of the Harbaugh said, like, yeah, great players can come from anywhere in college football, right? Like, but it's like it's about transferring to the NFL. One reason that is because you have a lot of really good coaches, a lot of people pouring their time and effort into the game, and they're not going to do that if they can't, if it's just completely unfair. There's no incentive there.
Yeah, development is going to suffer too. And if you're changing from one system to the next, you look like you're not. You look like you're not learning the system, right? Or not what they expected, but you're having to learn something different, calling.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could go on and on and on about this. I mean, coaches have buyout clauses, and so why can't players have buyout clauses?
I think step one is you got to professionalize it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Speaking of the transfer portal messes, Marshall. So Marshall's always silly with their coaches. They fired Doc Holliday, and I thought that was weird. They just want to give him an extension, I think. So then they hired Huff, right? Charles Huff. I think we were sort of still in Conference USA when that was happening, and I think we played him twice. Huff, the Marshall guy, and anyway, he won the Sun Belt with Marshall, but they didn't extend his contract. So then he left for Southern Miss, which is the worst team in the Sun Belt. And so then a lot of guys from Marshall decided to transfer. So Marshall was previously agreed to go to the Independence Bowl and play Army. Now they're like, we don't have enough dudes, so we're not. And Louisiana Tech is going to step up in there and play. It's kind of a fiasco there.
Yeah, it's such a weird situation there. And I didn't know that they chose not to extend him after winning the league. That's a strange decision.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Marshall, I don't know. They're such a weird program. They do stuff.
Feeling over there.
Yeah. Tulane. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the quarterback transferring. That's a little weird. As far as we're concerned, I mean, it's like Sumrall. He's getting rumored to go places. They have to figure out their coach. I mean, not the coach, the QB. They're still a good squad. I think they'll still be good defensively, but they're in a weird place right now. It's Tulane, so they're obviously a very good team. They're in the championship game, the AAC championship game, but I don't know where they're going to be next year.
With players going into the transfer portal, it doesn't mean they're off the roster yet. They could end up not going anywhere and then stick with North Texas.
Right. Same thing with them. Yeah, like I said, their quarterback Ty Thompson said, "I'm in the portal, but I'm going to play in the bowl game because blah blah blah. I love Tulane, whatever." But they need a quarterback. They thought they had one. Speaking of freshmen, they had that Mensa guy. Yeah, like I said, we went to Duke. What do you think about Army? They won the AAC. They beat Tulane. I think they handled them in that one. I thought they played a really good game, but then they got whooped by Navy.
Yeah, they talked a lot of mess about one deserving a spot in the CFP. Yeah, and then they go and do that.
They were also talking mess about the uniforms, and I don't know. Like Army was getting a little big for their britches there. They were talking a lot of mess, and they got whooped. The two losses this year were some whoopings by Notre Dame and then Navy, and then Navy one obviously hurts more. But I think they just don't like Golden Domes. Is what it is. Golden Dome. So when we play them next, we got to wear a Golden Dome. That's how we beat them. There it goes. That's
confuse them.
More advanced numbers for you.
Yeah, Monken is like, why aren't we in the CFP? And I'm like, I don't know, Todd.
Maybe it's because you suck. So Tulsa, their new coach, they don't have anybody. A lot of guys are transferring. I think we've offered a couple of their defenders, maybe a lineman or two from Tulsa. I think a wide receiver. Can't remember. UAB's bringing their guy back.
Trent.
Yeah. Hopefully we play them next season because we just got to get a blowout win. I mean, because they're bad. We need to beat them very bad. They're terrible.
I mean, signing that coach was an odd choice to begin with. I mean, a guy that wasn't even like. There was always an asterisk to his name as like Joe Flacco's the best Super Bowl winning QB they've had. I still think Lamar Jackson's the best, but that's a different conversation. But between Joe Flacco and Trent Dilfer, give me Joe Flacco all day long. He won because of the defense, not because of his abilities. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, right. I mean, but he was like Super Bowl winning coach, and he went in there to a program that did not need rebuilding, and then is now like, we got to rebuild this thing. Whatever. I care about it. Like we never play UAB when they're bad. We never play Charlotte when they're bad. Like they're like, the worst team in the league, and then like, hey, we got a little new coach bump, and then that's when we play them. I hate that. It always happens. Here's a sort of another one. It's interesting to me. Is Ren Baker? Yeah, he just rehired Rich Rodriguez, who won the Conference USA with Jacksonville State. I'm always a big Rich Rodriguez fan because I like those West Virginia teams in the early 2000s. I thought they were fun. But Ren Baker is rumored to be in the mix for the TCU athletic director position.
Apparently, discussions have been had.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's all well and good for him. He looks great, by the way. He's got a little svelte there, old Ren Baker. What I'm looking at, I'm like, look, you remember little North Texas, right? Let's get a little home and home going. Like at least in basketball, in basketball, and But yeah, it'd be great to get North Texas at MG Carter.
I liked him when he was the athletic director here. He was always nice to me, and it was weird. I don't know if he knew about me because through this podcast, or if he was just behaving like he knew me.
Mm-hmm.
But it also made me think twice. Like, is he having people watch this? Is he having people listen to this? And he's like keeping an eye on us. And
are you suggesting something bad? Are you suggesting that our podcast is not compelling enough to draw in our own audience, and that we're only getting bots? Like university the athletic director bots. So like, all right, where's the intern? Well, give me the report on the Mean Green Nation podcast. Like, well, Aldo didn't show up again.
I'm more worried of a Luigi showing up to my door and be like, "You want to swim with the fishes? Better say nice things about North Texas."
Yeah, I mean, I was like, they're asking for a lot of money. I don't know if they can afford a full-on guy. They're just gonna maybe a sternly worded tweet. I think that's probably what they can afford. These podcasts need to have better production. What's going on here?
Anyway, he was always a nice guy.
Yeah,
Every time I
yes.
chatted with him, he was always really nice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Let's say maybe athletic directors now not so friendly at least. You know what I mean?
As approachable.
That was
He's
it.
tall. You can pick him out of a room.
This one stole your picture. You know, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's a nice
Forgot about
picture you got there. I think maybe it'll be my picture. You ain't got no problem with that, huh?
What if something happened to it?
Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter. Are you excited about that?
Boo.
I mean,
With all due respect. No, I think Travis Hunter
a
did a
respectful
great job.
boo
Right.
at you, sir. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have a Heisman Trophy vote. I had a Maxwell vote. Mean Green Nation Doc has a Maxwell vote.
Oh wow.
I voted Genty.
Okay.
There you go.
And that would have been my pick, right? Genty. And I know there's conversations about, well, he wasn't as good as Barry Sanders. Well, yeah, it's Barry Sanders,
Yeah,
generational,
yeah.
but we can still talk
That's not
about
the
Genty.
standard. It's not like he's a good running back, but is he a Reggie Bush? Like, is he? It's this year that we care about. This is he good this year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In college, he is generational. He might disappear in NFL, but that's not the point.
yeah,
He
exactly.
did amazing. Obviously, Travis Hunter on both sides of the football was awesome too. Don't want to diminish his performance any less,
Yeah,
but he's going to be a great defender in the NFL. But I wanted to see Genty. It's a lot harder for a running back to do the things that he did. Obviously, it came in chunks, but he deserved those chunk plays because
yeah. I
he.
mean, yeah, dude. And it's like Boise State is good. They're a solid team, but you know what they're gonna do? Like, all right, they're gonna run Genty at us, and he knows that he can't have an off game, right? He's gonna have to go take hits, shake tackles, and then he's not just like, oh, I just got to go get 4 yards every time. He knows that his team needs him to get a 50-yarder, right? Like that's kind of the
Mhm.
deal. And like Travis Hunter's good. He was I don't know if he's the Bolitnikoff winner. I think he's very good. I mean, I can't remember what my vote was for him, but he's right there. Uh, he did a lot, and I think him playing DB was impressive too. I think his team talent is better because they had like Lejonte Wester. I remember him when he played at FAU. He's a very good wide receiver. They had the Horn. They had a good squad. They have a quarterback that's thrown for like 10,000 yards. It's not like he was just the only guy. He's not like a Larry Fitzgerald when he played at Pitt way back when it was like, all right, we have one play. It's throw it up to Larry Fitzgerald. That's our whole offense, right? It's like we're gonna run, and that's not going anywhere. I know that's not going anywhere. And every once in a while, we're just gonna max protect and throw it up to Larry Fitzgerald and see what
Check it.
happens. Yeah,
Triple coverage.
yeah. That's a little bit different. Like it's very difficult to be the guy, only the guy, and like yeah, on a losing team, like, well, yeah, the guy's he's catching everything, but it doesn't matter. And maybe you can point at like Jalen Darden that year when we were losing, and he was the only guy catching anything, and say, well, it's like that. But I think it's difficult to be a running back. Genty just like, you can't just run, no contact, just running like, oh, now I'm open, now I catch it, and then I fall down. Hey, look at that 50-yard pass.
It's like Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, it's like
What you just described.
yeah,
Um,
it's I got to run through some guys, and then they're trying to hurt me, and they're chasing me. I got to get all of that. It's difficult.
Yeah, he's got elite agility, elite balance, elite balance. You see him. He's not like just bouncing off of tackles. He's staying up when he gets tackled. Right. He's got a
Yeah,
guy on top of him, and he keeps his feet under him, and then he can keep going. And the defender's like, I thought I tackled him, and in fact, he did not.
yes, agree. Sorry, I just saw that I didn't check the box next to Skylar Cassidy. We hit them all. We hit all the topics, man. Look at that. Closing
All
out
right.
the year. I will say this. Merry Christmas. Merry
Yeah. Merry
Christmas.
Christmas. Before you close out,
No.
last thing. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Uh, I think it's a Wonderful Life. I'm getting there. I'm getting to that point.
Oh, you're going old school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. I'm telling you. Let's get into this a little bit, right? As I've gotten older, like everybody else, right? That movie kind of gives you, it hits, it gets real dusty in the old Martinez household. I'm like, oh, Yeah, that like now I have children. There's a couple things. One, he's like, "Oh, this stupid house," and it's breaking down. Yes, I have an old house, and it's always breaking down or whatever like that. But I also have those moments where I'm like, "Yeah, it's our home. It's our home. Our kids are growing up here, and whatever." And then I think about some other time. I'm like, "Yeah, I would like to have a nice house, but this is our house where our family grows up." And those parts of that movie, kind of, I'm like, I see that now. Before, when I was a kid, I was like, "This is boring. Who cares about your old house? This is
Yeah,
stupid."
I
The other thing,
think it.
yeah, the kid playing the Old Lang Syne, she's learning piano, right? My daughters both in the piano. Like yesterday, one of them, she's sick. She had a piano recital and she's up there playing Jingle Bells, and she gave a little curtsy after. Like I was recording it, but my hands, I was like, it's getting blurry in here. I can't see. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah, totally get it.
There's like some tear
Um,
gas going on in this room. What's going on up here? And so then, I see the movie and I see the girl playing the thing, and I get the same thing. I'm like, yes, do I get frustrated? Like, oh, she's like, bling, 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 just kind of, and I'm like, but she's up there. She played it beautifully. She didn't miss a note. At least from my ear, I was like, I didn't hear you. And she's like, I messed up on one. I was a little slow. But I was like, whatever, it's fine. She did a great job.
yeah, the most beautiful recital of all the recitals.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, we got concert pianist. Like, I don't know. I want to hear my daughter play Jingle Bells
Yeah.
for 30, 35 seconds. Anyway, so those parts of the movie, I think those hit a little bit harder now. You know what I mean? And like, so I do like that stuff. Good Christmas movie.
So mine is Christmas Vacation, and I think it's the opposite end of the spectrum.
No, I mean, it's just
But
yeah,
yeah, it's hitting the same notes, right?
yeah,
It's an it. Families are imperfect. Families you love them. You don't have to like them, but
yeah,
you have to love them. And you spend the holidays with them, and you do what you can with what you have, and you help each other out. And at the end of the day, even through all the imperfectness, your family and there's togetherness, and you have you can relate to it because you have that neighbor that's weird. You got that one family member that's weird,
yeah,
and kids that fight each other all the time, that age, and you're
yeah.
just trying
I've
trying to do
also
your
got a
best.
lesson in a lesson amazing Christmas
Going
bonus
for
a
like
couple times. What's going on? What is this?
so yeah, I worked public government jobs my whole life, so I have no
Mm,
idea what that's like.
Christmas bonus.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they give you a thumbs up.
yeah. Good
Good job,
job,
buddy.
pizza party.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think one I haven't watched in a long time, but I think my kids would enjoy is probably like Jingle All the Way. Because I remember when I was a kid,
Yes,
I used to love that one. And then I kind of got older. I'm like, this is not great. I don't know. My wife still loves like Love Actually. Whatever. I watch it
I've
because
never seen it.
really, that's
Yeah,
2003, buddy. Mix it in
I've
there.
never seen it. Another one in that same vein, though, is the rom com Christmas movie. Is the one with Sandra Bullock, While You Were Sleeping.
My wife loves that movie, but she says it's a Thanksgiving movie. She watches it during Thanksgiving.
Oh no, it's a Christmas movie.
I guess whatever. We watched it the other day. It was while the kids were watching like Pacific Rim, I guess, or whatever it was. And I was like, all right. They wanted to watch it again. I was like, I'm good on that one. So we were just kind of we just watched it. She wanted to watch it. My wife did. So it's fine. Like she watches it all the time, so I feel like I'm always half watching it. So I kind of know. I
Yeah,
think
I think I like those humorous Christmas movies, right? Where you just lighthearted, Jingle All the
yeah.
Way, Home Alone, things like that.
Yeah, it's been a while since I wanted to watch Home Alone. I used to like that movie, but I know the kids love it. They love Home Alone.
Mm.
But I'm kind of burnt out on it. I've seen it like 30 or 40 times in my life now. I just, I get it. Like when I was a kid, we used to just watch it all the time. I think we had
Yeah,
the VHS.
you seem like a miracle on 32nd Street or whatever it is.
No, yeah, I'm not. I was not a big Miracle on 34th Street one.
34th.
Yeah, it's like okay, government, whatever, courtroom drama, Santa Claus, whatever. Get out of here. Like that one never clicked for me. I do like Arthur Christmas. Have you seen that?
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it's an animated movie, but it's funny, and it has like, was it the dude that played Professor X in the new X-Men movies? He voices Arthur Christmas.
James McAvoy.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, and like the guy that Doctor House, right? Doctor House. He's like.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about like Santa Claus and transitioning in. It's a British movie, but it's funny, and there's some funny jokes in there. I like that one. It's a good one. The kids like it. You know, we watched it. I think during the pandemic. I was like, all right, let's get this one. Um, I think the another one I like, a recent one, the Kurt Russell one on Netflix. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. Yeah,
That one's
my
funny.
son was watching that one.
Yeah, that one tries to tug at your heartstrings a little bit. There involves a deceased parent. I was like, this is kind of rowdies, man. What's going on here?
Yeah, they hit you with that right at the beginning.
Yeah, jeez, But like I said, it's a pretty good one. I'm a big Kurt Russell fan. I like Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Muppet Christmas Carol. Oh man, that one's a good one.
I never got into that one either, and it was there's I don't know. I think I just don't like Muppets. I think that's what it is.
That's a problem. Yeah. Can't trust you now.
You know what show I didn't like? I hated Fraggle Rock.
Didn't watch that one either.
I was like, it hurts me. Like everything about it. The way it looks dark. I was like, yeah, I have lights for this. I don't know. I can't watch it.
It makes me feel uneasy.
Yeah, it's not a big fan of that. Well, anyways, you people, let me know your favorite Christmas movies, and maybe I'll try to get a new one in. I think we're always like on the. I don't watch any of those Hallmark ones, whatever. Like Christmas Wish or I don't need that.
Oh, Royal Christmas. I'd watch them. I watch them sometimes. Just have it on the background.
And yeah, I don't have time for that. I can't do it. I can't. I don't have that much time left in this world. I can't spend it on Hallmark movies.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead. Is it you that's watching them? Because there's always one. Everybody likes to blame their wife, but I think a lot of the dudes are like, "Oh, you probably want to watch this one, right?"
Oh, both of us, we like to sit and watch it in like the Mystery Science Theater style. We're just like criticizing the plot line and just trashing it and yelling it. But still, we watch it because it's entertaining and
yeah, I got you.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. It's like my wife's background TV. She's a very background TV kind of person. Like I can't do that. If I have anything on the background, it has to be like a game. Like I even watch an old game. Like that's sort of how I kind of watch a lot of things. Is like I'll put something on the background. Like, hey, I know that this team and this team played a good game, and it's on ESPN Plus. So I'll put it on and put it on like mute and kind of keep an eye on it. But my wife's like, oh, let's watch like King of Queens. And I'm like, I don't want to. Like, she should just have it on. She's like, I'm not watching it, but I just like to have it on while I'm kind of doing stuff. And I'm like, King of Queens. Everybody loves Raymond. Like, I'm good on that, man.
I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah, that's it. So I end up watching a lot of that just because she has it on in the background. But I don't know. I end up hate watching it.
Peter Boyle has come up a lot today.
Yeah, because he's in While You Were Sleeping too, right? Yeah, he's in
and Christmas Vacation, right?
Yeah, you're a big Boyle fan. You didn't even know. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, there's nothing else here. I will be. Well, I mean, barring something crazy, I don't know, like maybe get called on call or something. I will be at the bowl game. I think you're not gonna be at the bowl game, right?
No, I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna travel cross country. So yeah, we're gonna take a trip down there. It's the 3rd of January. It's 3 p.m. at Gerald Ford Stadium. I got the credentials, so Mean Green Nation will be reported live from there. But I also got tickets so I could be in the stands. If it gets too whack, we'll figure out how that's going. I don't know if I'm going to be at all of the bowl festivities, the pregame one, the tailgate stuff like that. Sort of need to see what the family's going. We're gonna caravan down there. We're gonna drive down there.
That smelly old stadium.
Yeah. Maybe I'll spill a little something. Do a French fry. Stick it somewhere.
Make it smell better.
Stick it somewhere under the bleachers, and they can't find it. Yeah, that'll get you. That'll get you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the Mingling Nation podcast. Subscribe, purchase a subscription that helps us keep it going. We're going to be covering a lot of the basketball that's coming up. So Aldo's going to go back into the closet. We put him away. We turn him off, take the batteries out. And then Aldo will be, restarted back when.
I was only learning to love.
And, we'll get Greg in here. We'll talk some basketball, and he'll have hot sports opinions about everything. Called teams the worst teams ever, et cetera, et cetera. You know how we do things. This is how it goes here. The Mingling Nation. We're not insiders. We're not even quite outsiders. Maybe, but we might be spied on. I like that. I like that.
Gotta watch your back.
He's like, are you good enough? Or we're good enough that they may spy on us.
Keep tabs.
I like that. I like that. Ren Baker kind of sided up to you, Aldo. Maybe he had his reference in his transcript from the last podcast. Tell me more about the stadium meatballs we have there, bud. Heard you had some hot sports opinions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the show. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.